receives the VFL Premiership Cup from League President.
It's time for all Essendon supporters to don the sash and make a stand together. Call 1300 GO Bombers or visit membership.essendonfc.com.au today.
What's wrong with Matthew Stokes? I saw him with the doc but not out there.
He might be crook. I was actually a bit crook last week, so yeah, don't get too close. But yeah, nothing comes out of the game or anything like that, so yeah, he might be just a bit crook, that's all.
What's the morale like around the group at the moment?
Yeah, fantastic. They're looking forward to round one, of course. We got through our NAB Cup, fit and healthy. We got some boys back. We had some really strong efforts in the VFL by Matty Leuenberger, Will Hams, Nathan Grimer played his first game for the club. So the boys are fit and healthy and looking forward to the start of the season.
Two pretty heavy defeats though. Is it be quite easy for the boys to drop their heads?
Yeah, I think that's the easy way out, isn't it? And that's why I want to say proud of the fellas. But yeah, they understand it's going to be a long year ahead, and they're rolling up their sleeves and doing the work that's necessary to get them in a state where they can be very competitive. And we've seen that in bits and pieces through the NAB Cup, and that's, I want to say, expectations, but that's going to happen. But as long as they keep turning up with a great attitude and wanting to work and get better, the world's your oyster.
It's one thing for the top-up players to keep doing that, but for someone like David Zacharakis, for example, who's been through this entire thing, he was close to tears after a couple of those 100-point losses last season. How do you keep his head up if that happens again?
Well, yeah, it's about individually, but collectively how we're tracking, and I think everyone understands with those boys and those top-ups you talk about. Some have only been here for 2 or 3 weeks, but Zachar himself individually, he's had a fantastic pre-season, and his performance is showing accordingly. And again, his work rate, his discipline, all those sorts of things. He's a great example for us to use in training and certainly through the game review, so everyone can understand that's the sort of level we need to get to. So his role model, if you like, for us going forwards is going to be certainly used.
And so what do you say to fans, I suppose, that look at the pre-season and go, I'm not rocking up to support the team, I suppose?
Well, that's their choice. We'd ask them obviously not to. But yeah, I mean, we played a grand final side that's well drilled on their home deck, all those conditions, and we're still putting the jigsaw together, if you know what I mean. They played in the grand final last week, so let's not kid ourselves. The positive for us on the weekend is probably our possessions went up close to 100 possessions. We got the footy. We just, again, we're not playing instinctive football, but you'd expect that from a group that's sort of been put together over the last 4 or 5 weeks. Having been there and done that, it takes time. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. We got a good result against Carlton because they played a team full of babies, if you like, and we got a good result. The next 2 games we played against sides that were a lot more experienced than us, and that's just the law of the jungle.
It's been suggested this morning that those more experienced sides could potentially rest players when they do play you this year on the back of those 2 performances. Are you insulted by that suggestion, or how do you take something like that?
No, that's their prerogative. They want to do that. Good luck. In my previous life, I've seen that happen, and sides win, so that's their choice. And I'm sure. Again, I don't know. I haven't heard any coach come out and say that. I haven't heard a player from a club say that. So is that hearsay? Is it a rumour? I don't know. But all we can do is focus on what we have to do, and we have to build our ability to defend better and score better.
What are your plans for Grimer and Leuenberger? Is there a chance that they could play in the VFL again this week, or do you sort of rest them ahead of round 1, or do they need more time? Yeah,
certainly a good conversation with the conditioning crew, that's for sure, just to see what's best for them to get them right for round 1 and get their names up in front of the selectors. Certainly Matty Leuenberger has been building post-Christmas after his injury, and again his performances was first rate on the weekend, so he certainly could be a chance. Again, Nathan Grimer, I mean, he's just been within the group for sort of 3 or 4 weeks, so it's a big ask, but he had been training. He's a naturally fit fella, so he tells us. And he performed well on the weekend too. So again, we're not out of the weekend and even the previous week against Geelong. It's not panic stations or anything like that. It's about having that focus for the start of the season, through the middle of the course of the season, for the rest of the whole season. It's about building and developing these boys into a premiership winning side.
Given that there's such a break now until round 1, I think it ends up being about exactly 2 weeks for you guys. Given that you've got players that have only been here for 2 or 3 weeks and quite a lot of young ones, do you give them a few days off, or can you not afford to waste any time?
Yeah, there's always a balance in that. But yeah, I mean, ultimately our chemistry, if you want to play instinctive football like we've seen against the Cats and West Coast, because they're at that level and that maturity, you may afford a couple of days off, but we'll go through our normal match day or leading into a game routine. We're not going to make any drastic moves around that. But again, the more time the boys are together, the more chemistry they get off the field, the more chemistry they're going to have on the field.
Do you find that you're drawing upon your experiences of starting up a new club from Gold Coast all over again, I suppose?
Yeah, a fair bit. Yeah, it's pulling out the little bits of gold and passages of play, and that's, there was elements against West Coast for patches of 5 to 10 minutes. We were able to own the football and own the game. But the scoreboard didn't say we're owning the game, but we're actually be able to control the ball the way we wanted to control. We just couldn't do it for long periods of time like West Coast could. So yeah, pulling out those types of edits and actually showing the boys to say, hey, we can do this. We just need to sustain that for longer. But again, the way the squads come together, you reap what you sow, but that's what happens. That's what we're going to find. But as I said, as long as we can build 10 minutes into 15 minutes, into 20 minutes, into 30 minutes, into a quarter, into a half, all those sorts of things, that's going to be our challenge for this year.